I'm in the soup store.
Hey, I'm Morrow, and welcome to Tales Tomorrow. Today we're gonna be reading some RPG horror stories here with Mary.
Hi, I am Mary, a cute, adorable, lovable druid, and I'm totally not a weirdo that likes to talk about dinosaur pussy and other weird stuff. Definitely not. Anyway, let's get to the first RPG horror story for today.
Also, I have a little secret to tell you guys. Don't tell anyone this, but I really like sneaking ogre underwear into bed, and I sniff it to go to sleep. Don't tell anyone.
Let's start with the first story for today. Literally, that guy ruined the game. Preface: most of the people in this game are totally cool, though all friendly and were joining for the first time. The GM was super helpful. It was my own first time playing the game and with a group. Many of us don't know each other. Mutants and Masterminds 3E. I never played that before. I don't think either one of us played that before. I joined in to try and learn more about the game so I can hopefully run it one day for my own friend group. I get into a group, talk in our Discord, and gets ton of help making my character. Everyone is super friendly, and I do learn a lot before the game even begins. Fast forward to game day. First time actually talking to any of the players, and they seem pretty cool. One of them is playing a character with a power that makes people forget him. No one ever remembers him, so he is called That Guy. We start the game, and That Guy explains that another power he has is immortality. He waits for everyone to applaud him, and one of the other players says, "Yeah, and?" Immediately he starts to fly out the handle. He's shouting over the mic at the guy, saying stuff like, "What the fuck is that supposed to mean? You got a problem with me?" Just full shouting at the person. They don't back down when he starts yelling at them and gets defensive. Starts pushing back, saying having the power isn't really a big deal and it doesn't make them special and so on. That guy just gets angrier, and it's only when half the group starts saying that we should just call the game if they were going to act like that, that's when they start to calm down. We start playing and get to our first encounter. We get to a portal under construction by some magic mafia people. Me and another hero are basically just asking to see the permits for the construction of the portal and are able to see through the lies they're telling. Then that guy steps forward and says, "Well, we know you're working for the BBEG, so cut the crap. You under arrest." So combat begins. He goes first with a ridiculously high Munchkin initiative. Walks into a heavy group of these magic people he wants to arrest and question, and triggers a suicide vest. Huh. Okay. He goes into extreme detail about how he wants to be dead and how life sucks and immortality is a curse, and he just wishes he wouldn't wake up one day. Whoa. Is he okay? When the GM tries to brush past the heavy detail into the gore he describes, he starts getting mad again. "I shouldn't have rolled for a suicide vest. Do you know what they look like? Do you know what they do? I do. I work for the Department of Defense. I've had to disarm these kind of things. I know what happens when they go off." Well, everyone just sort of let him talk, seeing as no one really asked, and GM just let him take out a bunch of people without making him roll. We continue the fight, eventually got the remainder to surrender, and start trying to figure out what to do next. Another character and my own start arresting them, and I approach one to start talking to them to learn what they were doing and why. They tell us they're working for a local Don, and that they're paid not to ask questions when they do what they do. As we push to start more questions, that guy decides to start helping. "I start pouring gasoline on half the prisoners and I light them on fire." "What? Why? No, are you really doing that?" "Yeah, they're now on fire." "These guys are prisoners. You're going to do that, then I'm going to stop you." "I see he's trying to stop me, so he switches from ally to enemy. I make an attack. I rolled a 6 plus 19 to hit. That's a total of 25. You can't roll high enough to beat that. I roll damage. That's more than your max health. You die." This guy sounds insufferable, actually insufferable. Like, I know I'm doing the voice and stuff, but man, somebody saying that unironically, Christ, please get him out of the table. GM gets things back on track, stopping him from one hit killing my character, and interrogation continues when we get him to not light the prisoners on fire. He then starts going around shaving their heads, so you can use it to track them down with magic if they ever get out of prison. With that, game ended. My very first experience with Mutants and Masterminds. Afterwards, I sent a very kind message to the GM explaining I would not be returning, or wished him the best of luck, and I do hope they will have fun. But between the suicide, the screaming, and the million other cries for help and attention from that guy, I am not going back. God, probably best you stay away from that. The guy sounds insufferable to be around.
It's kind of sad because like the whole group seemed like really fun. He was saying how they were all super nice and helpful, and like the one guy ruined it. They would actually get rid of him for being like in the way or like causing problems, then everything would be fine. He could have stayed and had fun and stuff. So it is kind of sad. He could have made new friends and stuff by staying there, you know?
I really hope the other players speak up and tell the GM that they also don't like that guy, and maybe this guy can come back, who knows? The post is from a while ago, so probably not, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. Let's get over to the next story for today. Cops called an ex-DM. Their wife tried to steal thousands of dollars worth of my stuff. Huge warning to in-person players. Hello again, people of Reddit. I'm going to preface this story by stating this is a kind of less of a horror story in terms of anything in the actual game, but more of a real life because of the game, so to speak. It's an odd one, but I think it's good to post in here so people can be careful and mindful. Names change for obvious reasons. Alright, so this is back during the height of the 3.5 glory days. I was playing with a group of people where we met weekly, sometimes maybe even twice a week, rather just 2 weekend days like Friday night and Saturday during the day, at the DM's apartment. Let's call him Shrek, and let's call his wife Gruntillda. I'll just be me. Other players mostly are relevant to the story except for my good buddy, let's call him Millhouse. Interesting names. I wonder if there's like a reason for it. I think Gruntillda specifically is very on the nose. So this story is kind of another warning about not having couples be on the opposite side of the DM screen. I.e., never have a player who is a significant other of the DM. It basically never works out, and there's always bias and favoritism. This will all be somewhat important later. Not true to everybody. I mean, maybe it's relevant to the story, but like whenever you're at the table as a DM, you gotta look at your players equally. Regardless of how close or not close you are to them, you have a responsibility as a DM to provide your players with an equal and fair experience, which means you can't be giving people favoritism. If you do that, other people will notice, they'll get tired and sick and tired of it, and they'll want to leave. You gotta treat everybody fairly, regardless of whether if it's like if you're best bud, or somebody you're dating and stuff, or somebody you just like. You gotta give everybody fair chance every single time, no matter what.
Like, we have a friend who we play with, he's married, and she also like plays with us and stuff. We play together in the Final Fantasy thing too, but when we get along and stuff, it seems fine. It doesn't get in the way at all.
We've seen it happen, and it's really not that difficult to be a fair and unbiased DM. I forget which module we were doing at the time when things broke down, but anyway, Shrek was the DM, Gruntillda was a player, Millhouse was playing Orc Barbarian. I won't say what I was playing, alas that's very easy to give away too much information because of how uncommon that is. Gruntillda was playing an Elf Ranger. Other players included a girl playing some type of Death Knight, anti-paladin, something like that wanted or had a nightmare for a steed mount, and a final guy who was playing a human bard. Wait, so the OP doesn't want you to know what they were playing? But why? You get on Gruntillda's bad side because they did some roguish things, potentially.
No, but you said how uncommon it is, so he wasn't a rogue, he must have been something that people don't usually be?
A warlock of like a warlock? No, it's kind of common. Clockwork sorcerer? I have no idea. Well, anyway, let's keep going. We did play for many months. Heck, maybe it was even a year or two. But there was always problems with Gruntillda being whiny, selfish, and throwing hissy fits when not getting her way. In this particular campaign, she wanted a black dragon for her animal companion as a ranger. A baby one, but still. Shrek, not wanting to accept his wife, decided to let her have it.
I was gonna say, doesn't like Taiho have a baby dragon?
Yeah, it's a pseudo dragon. They'll always stay this tiny because they're really, really tiny. She wants like a full-on dragon that'll eventually grow up to be big, like the big dragon with like 200 plus health and stuff. This is where the problem lies. I didn't mention this before, but we did play using minis and maps. I was kind of the one who actually had a good job, so I brought basically all the 3.5 books and constantly bought those 3.5 D&D miniature blind boxes, as well as some of the iconic figures, like the adult black dragon, the Orcus demon figure, the adult red dragon, etc. Because transportation would have been annoying and the idea of having everything just smashed into a Tupperware tub instead of placed neatly in their own place to keep them from getting damaged, early on after a month or two of playing with the group, I agreed to just keep all my stuff at the Shrek's place. And this is the warning for all you IRL in-person players. Never do this, unless you think you trust your DM with your life and your stuff. And even if you can, even if you suddenly get married or such, get your stuff out ASAP. That means all my books, all my miniatures, all my dice, all my map packs, etc. Several thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Probably even more, because many of those rare and epic figures were insanely valuable at the time. The Strahd miniature, the champion of Elistray, evil wizard riding black dragon, pretty much any and all dragon themselves, etc. If you have this much of valuable stuff, I would highly recommend and highly think about having your place be the place that you can play D&D with. You know, get a nice little table, get little shelves for yourself, and just host at your place. Especially if you're gonna have this much stuff, you might as well have like a little dedicated room or like an unpacked room where you can like pull out a table and all this stuff and just host at your place at that point. Well, one of those minis amongst all the minis was the baby black dragon one, valued at the time at like 30 to 50 bucks easy, because it was an epic rare, like in 1 in 100 blind box kind of thing. And so of course, upon wanting getting the baby black dragon in the game, and that mini being used representing it, Gruntillda goes, "This is mine now, I own this." To which I, an introverted collector, adamantly refused against. She then tries to be like, "I'll just give you $5 for it, that is fine, and then it's mine." Again, no, it's mine. It's part of my entire collection of Black Dragon figurines, from baby up to the gargantuan one that was purchasable standalone figure, which was also my favorite dragon type. So of course, she throws a fit, kicks us all out of their place.
You know what she kind of like reminds me of? She reminds me of like a child where, you know, when kids are possessive over items, like,
Very much so.
if they see their sibling playing with something, they'll want it. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's mine because you're playing with it. I want it. So it's
Mine.
like, that's what I can see her as. Maybe she was like a spoiled kid when she was younger. Because he was even mentioning earlier how she was very like, maybe she had a weird childhood and she just like is very like, she wants everything. She gets given everything. With how he's like, oh, you can have the dragon, you can have this. And her husband's like,
And a
doing it too, like giving everything she wants. Yeah,
she says, "I want
just
it,"
making her
and
worse
he
and
just
worse.
gives it to her. An enabler. She wants it,
Yeah.
she gets it, and she get used to that sort of thing. Milhouse was the friend who got me into this group in the first place, and the one who tried to negotiate with Shrek and Gruntillda for a peaceful resolution to the situation, because ultimate fallout of things was that Gruntillda wanted me banned from their apartment and kicked out of their group. Being married to her, Shrek didn't really have a choice. However, when it was brought up about me getting back my stuff from their place, Gruntillda tried to go, "No, it's all ours now. I'll own it all, you can't have it back." Wow, pretentious lady that is trying to take someone's stuff that is not hers. Lady, it's not yours. Give it back to the player if you don't want him at the table, and just part amicably. Don't be such a child about it.
No, it's mine. You can't have it. It's shiny. I want all the shinies.
Basically.
That's what I see.
Should have changed Gruntillda to Golem.
Yeah.
Credit where credit is due, Milhouse did all he could to try to reason with them, and Shrek probably did want to give it back initially. I had to go along with his wife, because if he even hinted at going against her, he'd probably never hear the end of it and find himself kicked out too. Even if it was his place, technically. The husband is not
it's
making
not
things
her
any better.
stuff,
Yeah, no, the
though.
husband is completely powerless and has no backbone, and he's just letting his wife do whatever, because the alternative is she's going to be arguing, making his life miserable.
She definitely pegs him.
She might, actually. So Q having to call the cops, having to have Milhouse witness that, yes, it's my stuff. Thank God I'm a Packrat who keeps all the receipts and could show the cops that, yes, I did purchase all these items and they were mine. And then basically telling Shrek and Gruntillda that they had to give my stuff back. That if any of it was damaged in any way, they have to pay for it. This will make certain Shrek didn't allow anything to happen to the books or minis at Gruntillda's hand. Was likely to throw another fit and finding out she couldn't keep my thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and that I would be coming to pick it up with a police escort that same day, and Gruntillda was not to be there when I did. I went with Milhouse to get my things, and Shrek even apologized about Gruntillda being such a B-word that we're just gonna call her a bish, and his hands were kind of tied. It didn't change that I had to call the cops for a resolution. Milhouse dropped out of the group as well. And being down to 3 out of 5 players, I'm sure the group disbanded. Well, the other girl moved away anyways, so they would have been down to just the 2, one being Gruntillda. It took Millhouse and I a long time to find another game. It was an in-person game, but the new DM had his own stuff, minis too, and only said if we wanted to bring a mini of our own to represent our character in the event he didn't have one that fit, we could. Moral of the story, kids, even if you're the DM yourself, but you play at someone else's place, never leave your stuff anywhere. You never know what may or may not happen to it when it's out of your sight. Also, never have a couple who play on opposite side of the table. There's a husband and wife that should both be players or be co-DMs. Never one player or one DM. It always gets messy. It actually can't work out. You just gotta be a proper DM that's not gonna be treating your players with some sort of a special treatment. It's simple as that. It just simply treat your players fairly. Make sure they get fair treatment and not get anything unique. One final thing. When I sat down and went through my stuff, it was hard to know what may or may not have been missing, even if I had a good memory of all things. But you can guess which miniature wasn't in a lot of stuff. Yep. The baby black dragon. Gruntillda had apparently swiped it on her way out when Shrek forced her to leave and go to her own mother's place so I could come collect things. Millhouse managed to find a replacement for me, bless him, and if there's ever a chance Gruntillda finds and reads this, I hope he choked on that mini. You owe me $50, and you owe Millhouse $50 for what he had to pay to replace it. That is all. Good night, Reddit. Good lesson learned. Like, if you have a lot of stuff, leave it at a place of somebody you can trust, somebody that will literally like treat it as if it's the own precious thing. If you can't trust somebody, and if you don't know them beforehand, and they're just a stranger on the internet that you just play like in-person D&D with, and you don't know them really well, obviously don't leave your personal stuff with them. Or, if it's enough to bring to and from, always carry it with you. Or, in fact, set up your own gaming table. You might as well, you already have all your stuff there. You be the DM. Set up a nice little game table with all the maps and stuff and go with that.
Thank you for watching. This has been Mary and Stinky Morrow, and I hope you enjoyed watching us read some RPG horror stories.
If you'd like to see more of the videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to see more of Mary, let us know down in the comment section below. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching the video.
Bye.